And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, my name is Blitzwinger, and welcome back to a brand new discussion video. And today we're going to go on and discuss all the details from Spider-Man Miles Morales. Of course, this is quite possibly the most highly anticipated video game for the rest of 2020, apart from maybe Cyberpunk is the other contender there, but I would definitely say that this is certainly one of the most hyped up video games for the rest of 2020. Now, we're going to go on ahead and during this video discuss all of the stuff that is currently relevant to this particular game, whether it be details that are much more technical, like for example the release date, the price, the multiple editions, the pre-order bonuses, the game size, game length, etc. But we're also going to go on ahead and get into the thick of it and discuss some of the story elements. So this really will cover everything along with some speculation at the end of the video. So I hope you guys will stick around for the entirety of the video. Don't forget to hit that like button if you guys do enjoy the video. And of course, throughout the video, let me know down in the comment section below if you agree with some of the points, disagree with some of the points, and of course, let's get a healthy discussion going. Now, with that in mind, let's kick things off on the technical side of things. So, the game will, of course, be releasing on November 12th. It will indeed be a launch game for the PlayStation 5. Now, this is where things immediately get a little bit more dicey because all of us had thought that this was going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, including myself. I honestly, for the longest time, thought that this is going to be the system seller for the PlayStation 5. This is why you want to upgrade to the PlayStation 5. Now, how many more times can I say PlayStation 5 in one sentence? I don't know, but we're going to see. Now, with that in mind, I do want to say the shocking thing is that this is not going to be just a PlayStation 5 game. It is actually going to be cross-platform, and it will be available on the PlayStation 4 as well. So for those of you that own a PlayStation 4, good news, you get to play Miles Morales Spider-Man on your PlayStation 4 consoles as well. I think that that's kind of a silly decision, and I understand why they did it, and I also am obviously happy for everybody, including myself, who have a PlayStation 4, and maybe some people are not able to afford a PlayStation 5 or are not able to actually secure a pre-order because it's been such a complete mess trying to get a PlayStation 5. So I understand the argument for this. I just think that it would have been really cool to get some sort of a game that really showcases the PlayStation 5 power and its full capability to really be like, okay, here it is. Here's why you need to upgrade because check this out. And I guess we're just going to have to hold off a while until we get a game that is purely exclusively made for the PlayStation 5 to see just what that console has to offer from a hardware perspective. Now, with that out of the way, again, we can get a discussion about all that going in the comment section, but for the sake of this video, again, I've given my opinion. I think that it's good for the consumer, but I also do kind of wish we would have gotten a really great showcase of the PlayStation 5's power set. Now, with that in mind, the game will indeed be launching in two different editions. Or sorry, let me clarify that. The game will be launching in two different editions on the PlayStation 5. So you're going to be able to purchase the regular edition of the game, which will be a $50 price point. So this is kind of more of a budget-friendly version, which is just going to be the game itself. There is a pre-order bonus that we will get to in just a moment, but you can go on ahead and buy just the game by itself, and there you go. You get to play Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, if you're like me, you're going to go on ahead and get the Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition will be a $70 price point, so about $20 higher. And again, when I say $70, I'm referring to obviously US dollars here. And in this particular pack, what you're going to get is the game itself, so you get what you would get with the regular edition. Then you get a remaster with completely updated animation, improved lighting, they said ray tracing. Basically, a lot of details have been adjusted for Marvel's Spider-Man. So you basically get a remaster version or an upgraded and more enhanced version to run better and take advantage of the PlayStation 5. So that's probably going to be those quick loading screens that we were told about before when they were just revealing the PlayStation 5. So it seems like Marvel's Spider-Man will be fully decked out and upgraded to enjoy on our PlayStation 5. So that is definitely quite exciting. But that is not all, because they will go on ahead and in fact include 3 brand new suits that will be also available as part of this re-enhanced version of Marvel's Spider-Man. So again, you kind of get a double pack of games here. You get the Marvel Spider-Man game and you get Miles Morales. Along with that, of course, Marvel Spider-Man is not just some sort of weird pack-in. So again, we're taking their word for this, but they did say that there's improved animations, improved lighting, brand new animations for a lot of the different elements in the game, like the hair, the eyes, like they were that specific that they went out of their way to point that out. So that definitely does seem quite interesting. Now, for those of you that are going to be getting the digital edition of the PlayStation 5, you might be curious about the game size. So the Ultimate Edition will be roughly around 105 gigabytes for a download. So that means that SSD is going to get filled up pretty quickly with just a handful of games. And then, of course, the regular edition of the game itself will be about 50 gigabytes. So as you can see, definitely shows you a pretty clear understanding of just how much of, not a smaller game necessarily, Miles Morales is going to be, but it definitely shows you that in comparison, the older generation game is going to be probably around 65 gigs, whereas this new one is about 50 gigs, which is what they were telling us all along. That's why the regular edition is $50 as it is, because it is a more almost like Uncharted Legacy styled game where it's not quite as big of a campaign as Marvel Spider-Man was. It is roughly around the 10-hour mark is what they've kind of hinted at. So it shows that obviously the game size is going to be a little bit smaller, but that does not mean that it's going to be any worse than Marvel Spider-Man. So we're going to go on ahead and see how the entire story unfolds when we get to play it on November 12th. Now, speaking of which, I guess let's get into some of the story elements here. We're going to save our pre-order bonus discussion for the end because there is a brand new Miles Morales suit to discuss, so I'm excited for that as well. Now, what's going on with the story? Well, the story takes place about 1 year after the events of Marvel's Spider-Man. So, of course, at the conclusion of Marvel's Spider-Man, spoiler alert, Peter Parker finds out that Miles Morales also has spider powers, and we assume that in the time frame between Marvel Spider-Man's conclusion and this game, essentially in that time frame, Peter Parker has taken up the helm of almost being kind of like a mentor for Miles Morales to really walk him through becoming Spider-Man and becoming his own version of Spider-Man. And this is going to be kind of us being able to go on ahead and see Miles Morales rise to the occasion and become Spider-Man. Now, with that in mind, as this story begins, we find out also that Rio Morales, which is of course the mother of Miles Morales, is running for city council in Harlem. And as she's going through these political endeavors, essentially we find out that there's also an ongoing battle unfolding within the streets of Harlem between the underground, which is this kind of, I guess, almost mob-like organization that is run by a villain that we get to see in the latest trailer, which is the Tinkerer, and then they are going up against the Roxxon Corporation. Now, of course, the Roxxon Corporation in the context of the Marvel Universe is a very powerful, big company. It's the scale of like Oscorp or like the AIM Corporation. So it's definitely one of the bigger companies in the Marvel Universe. And it looks like they are the ones who have these obviously much more massive budgets for scientific discoveries and weaponization of those discoveries. And they've created this brand new energy source, after which the Tinkerer and the Underground are trying to go on ahead and steal it. Now, with that in mind, this is where Miles Morales kind of falls in the middle of, is between these two rivaling, I guess at this point we could call them gangs, who are trying to cause all this chaos, while the context of his mom trying to run for the city council and trying to keep the entire city from just going into complete and utter destruction. So I think that that's a really cool and compelling idea. I think that I like that it's a much more what feels like kind of zoomed in storyline. It doesn't feel quite as grandiose or zoomed out, like in the sense that Spider-Man took place in a what seemed like much bigger part of New York, whereas this is going to be a much more personal story, which is what I'd like to see, especially for our first endeavor into the character of Miles Morales. I'd like to be super hyper niche, and then maybe for the next Marvel Spider-Man, we could zoom out and really get a much more epic, bombastic storyline where it's Miles Morales and Parker teaming up to get this almost like Avengers or Spider-Verse styled game. I think that's definitely the way to go. Make us care about each one of these characters individually, then bring them together for a much more epic storyline to unfold. Now, here's where we can get a little bit of, I guess, more geeky and make some predictions here. So we did notice, obviously, that the Tinker seems to be a female character from the voice acting and such. So that makes you think that there's a little bit of discussion going on of people trying to predict whether or not we will see the Tinker actually unfold and become Yuri Watanabe, or I guess Yuri Watanabe takes up the mantle of the Tinker, because obviously there were all these hints dropped about like what's next for Yuri Watanabe. We see her in Marvel Spider-Man go on this massive character arc where when you start out that game, you would never have predicted that by the end of all the DLCs, she would take a 180 turn towards the villainous side of things. So again, really interesting to see that character arc begin in Marvel Spider-Man. And will we see it continue to unfold? And will that be the big kind of tying in string between Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man? I'm looking forward to finding out. Now, with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the final detail that we're going to go on ahead and discuss here are the pre-order bonuses. There are 3 of said bonuses, so let's run through them. Of course, if you do pre-order the game, you do get 3 additional skill points to use in the game, which again doesn't sound like all that much of a great deal. However, those skill points are obviously quite useful. If you've played Marvel Spider-Man, you know how substantially important upgrading your gadgets and your character is. So I'm sure that this will be a very nice little boost to have from the very beginning of the game. Then you do get a gadget, which will be the Gravity Well gadget. Again, I would be absolutely shocked if the only way to get this gadget would be as a pre-order. I'm sure that it will be available throughout the game, maybe later as a pickup or a purchase. Maybe just because you pre-order it, you actually get it earlier on in the game. And then last, but certainly not least, 2 skins. 2 suits will be available as the pre-order bonus, and they have not been revealed. Well, actually, one of them has been revealed. So, one of the suits is going to be called the tracksuit. Now, it is an acronym, so we'll see what that acronym breaks down into, I guess, within the context of the game. But what I will say is that I think that that suit looks awesome. It adds this kind of white element to the Miles Morales costume. I think that it's really cool to see that, just because the regular costume that we see like on the box art for the games and all the promo shots, etc., is pretty much the costume that we see him wear in the comics. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Blitz, what the heck is wrong with that? That seems like a perfectly normal thing to do. Yeah, I agree with you. It's just that Marvel Spider-Man introduced a brand new suit for Peter Parker. In fact, a few of them, like the anti-Hawk suit, of course. But in addition to that, we got the Advanced suit, which was this big new suit designed by Insomniac specifically for Parker. This was kind of like, hey, this is our take on Spider-Man in the context of our game world. And so I was really hoping we would get something similar to that for Miles Morales. And it looks like maybe this tracksuit will be just it. I don't recall ever seeing that suit in the comics. I think it looks really cool, and it looks like a really cool redesign of the Miles Morales base suit. Now, don't forget, as I just mentioned, there will be another suit. At this time, it has not been revealed yet. I'm sure as we get closer to the launch of the game, it will be revealed as the next bonus suit. But again, if you're interested in this game, this is a no-brainer. You got to get the pre-orders in just so that you get this tracksuit, the additional suit, the Gravity Well gadget, and of course the 3 additional skill points, all no-brainer upgrades. Now, with all that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I do hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know what your favorite detail of this particular video was. Maybe there's something that you disagree with. Maybe there's something that you agree with. Let's get a discussion going in the comment section below. Of course, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Turn on your notifications. We're going to do tons and tons of coverage for this game before it even releases. And then, of course, once it releases, we're going to dive on in and take on the role of Miles Morales Spider-Man. Peace out, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, and just a quick heads up, don't forget, guys, if you'd like to support the channel furthermore, beyond just leaving a like, consider becoming a member of the channel. Members do get exclusive perks like exclusive emotes. In addition to that, you do get priority in sub-game streams as well as custom game streams. Plus, you would get access to the exclusive channels over on the Discord server. Thanks all for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!